Hey, welcome back to Dan's Chess Lounge, everyone. So, in the second day of round number 2 of the FIDE World Cup, we have Maxime Vachier-Lagrave facing off against GM Elshan Moradiabadi, and it was a really good game. I decided to make this the featured game for today, and let's go ahead and dive right in. So, MVL was white, and he played E4, C5, knight F3, E6. So you have like a French Sicilian or an E6 Sicilian. These tend to be more positional in nature, opposed to like the more fiery Sicilians, like the Dragons or the Shevesnikovs and lines like that. G3. This lets us know here that it's really going to be a positional battle. White is signaling that he's going to fianchetto his bishop on G2. Knight C6, bishop G2, as we suspected. Knight F6, this hits the pawn on E4, so white has to protect it, and he does so with queen E2. D5, striking out in the center. Captures. And now white has castled here, and he's got his king tucked away nice and safe. But if you look at the position, he still needs to develop some pieces here. You know, he's got all of his pawns still on the second rank. He doesn't have anything developed on the queen side. So white still has some work to do as far as development-wise. Bishop E7, Rook D1. That looks like white is planning on striking out in the center with D4. Castle. So if we look at the position here for black, black is castled, and he still needs to develop a few of his pieces as well, mainly his light square bishop. But he may have a problem finding a good home for that light square bishop. In positions like this here, like the French defense, excuse me, or the Sicilian / French type positions, the light square bishop is the worst piece on the board for black, because it's blocked in behind its own pawn chain. So that can be kind of tricky finding a good spot for the light square bishop. You have D4 here, C takes D, and the knights come off. You have a little liquidation in the center of the board. Some pieces came off. Now you have bishop hitting the rook. Rook drops back. Now here, Queen C7 was played by black, which is a good move there. You know, the reason why that's a good move is because you want to get that queen off of that file where the white rook is at. In case you wanted to play, let's say Rook B8, for example, the next move for white would be C4. You know, and now the knight there is pinned to the queen. That's just devastating. So that's why black had to play queen C7 there. And C4 comes, knight B6. Now you have two attackers on the C4 pawn. So white protects that by playing knight A3. And even though the knight is on the edge of the board, we don't like to put our knights on the edge of the board because they're kind of out of play. That's the best way to protect the pawn this time. Let's say if you wanted to protect the pawn with B3, then of course that would leave your rook hanging there in the corner, and that would be devastating as well. So here the best move is knight A3, bishop D7. So the bishop is coming out to a better spot. The best place for the bishop to be would be on C6. If it can make it there, then it could rival white's best, one of white's best pieces, which is the light square bishop there on G2. You have bishop F4. Both sides are now fully developed. The bishop hits the queen. The bishop pair is really critical in these open type of games, open types of positions. That's where the bishop pairs really excel and shine. You have E5, bishop E3, rook AD8, C5 hits the knight goes back, knight B5 hits the queen, and the queen retreats as well. And if you look at the position in just a few short moves here, White is completely driving back black's pieces to the back rank, which is never good in any situation. Knight c3. And now you have rook f e8, which seems like a good developing move, but it allows potentially the knight to come in here to d5, where it can just be a monster on the board. Maybe bishop c6 might have been a better move here, because now that bishop is in a great spot where it can face off against white's light square bishop, as we mentioned previously, and it can fight for control over the central squares as well, that d5 square as well. But instead, GM Elshan decided to play rook f e8, and that of course allows MVL to jump right into the middle of the board. I just love these monster knights, these octopus knights, when they're right in the center and they control so many squares. You know, they're pretty hard to beat, to combat, and especially when you can post them up and protect them, and they can just stay there. I mean, it's very, very hard to play against. You have bishop e7. Black did not want the knight to capture and mess up his kingside pawn structure. But look here, MVL did not even capture the bishop on e7 because frankly, the knight on d5 is better than the bishop on e7. So he decided to just play rook d2 and maybe double up on the open file. Bishop e6, and he does decide to double up. Rook d7, and right here, GM Elshan has made a blunder, and I want you guys to pause the video and see if you can find what the winning move here is for white. Okay, I'm going to continue. I hope you guys found the best move here in this position. Congrats to those who did. The best move is knight f6, check. And with this move here, GM Elshan resigned. Yes, that's right. He said he had enough after this move right here. It's that devastating. And the reason why it's so devastating is because, let's just say, for example, he plays bishop captures f6, right? You would have rook captures rook, the bishop will capture the rook, rook captures bishop. Now you have the light square bishop and the rook hitting the b7 pawn, right? Bow. Captures the b7 pawn. The queen is under attack. Bow. Takes off the a7 pawn now. So now you have a2, b2, and the b5, the c5 pawn all passed. This would be a very, very easy victory for MVL. So there's no need to play that out, right? So let's go back here. What if instead he played, after the knight f6 check, what if instead of capturing with the bishop, let's just say he captures with the g pawn? It looks ugly, but still, he's in play, right? Rook captures rook. e4 kind of blocks that diagonal, right, for a minute, but then you have bishop f4 hitting the queen. And now after the bishop captures the pawn on e4, this is just devastating. You would have the bishop invading on b7. You may even have the rook invading instead. That's going to give like a discovery after it moves on the queen. The queen doesn't have any places to go. This is just devastating. Black will lose massive material, you know, here. So this is not possible. And then the only other variation that black could play here would be, well, what if he doesn't capture at all? What if he just flees to, you know, king h8? Well, white just captures the rook there on e8. And then he's up, again, massive material. So that was it. I can see why GM Elshan threw in the towel here. Incredible victory for MVL. This is going to be a very good tournament for MVL if he's playing this sharp. So he advances to the next round. He doesn't have to deal with the tiebreak round, so he can rest another day tomorrow. So with that, that concludes our game today, our featured game of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. See y'all next time.